I would like to give a warm welcome to all FBI agents and mainstream news writers that are watching this episode of the Token and Hobbs Show. Welcome, one and all. I am your host, Token, joined as always with the man formerly known as Hobbs. What is up, dude?
Formerly known as Hobbs, or formally known as Hobbs.
However you want to put it.
I am who I am. I am Hobbs.
You are the man who identifies as Hobbs. Very nice. Do you think that they wrote that because obviously this show's name is a riff off of the old Calvin and Hobbes comics? So they're like, this must be a joke.
Well, I don't know.
That's not your real name.
I did the Joe interview under the Hobbservations banner, and I'm pretty sure that the guy who wrote that Guardian article did precisely no research outside of that interview. So I think he just saw Hobbs down on there, and he's just like, this has got to be a pseudonym, because certainly nobody who shows his face is going to broadcast under his real name.
I want that guy to come back. I want him to be one of our live listeners and write an article about Token and Hobbs, because this show is way more fun than an episode with Joe Jorgensen. I mean Observations episodes are pretty cool, but I mean a Joe Jorgensen's view is tamer, shall we say? When we do interviews with people, they tend to be tamer episodes, and when it's just us talking about bullshit that happened during the week.
Right. We cuss, we say controversial things, we make fun of the protected classes.
Us, we don't say controversial things. Why would we ever say a controversial thing?
Well, in today's age, controversial equals what everybody's thinking.
Well, speaking of controversial, I think the first thing we wanted to talk about is this guy named Nick Cannon. You guys might know Nick Cannon. I've known the name, but I didn't know who the guy was. Apparently, he was the host of America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. He works at Nickelodeon. I think he's like the CEO of Nick Teens or something like that. He actually came up with a TV show for them a while back. Well, this guy has a podcast, and he said some pretty yeah, I mean, all the cool kids have podcasts these days.
Who doesn't?
I mean, seriously, we got like 3. All the cool kids got them. But this guy apparently has some very interesting theories about race. Theories that I am sure are backed by all kinds of science and reason and logic and evidence of some kind that he does not deem to give us. But let's see what exactly he has to say about it. I got a clip here for us to watch. So let's see what he has to say.
Annihilation.
And that Professor Griff that he's talking to, definitely a PhD holder.
Oh, definitely. That's how that kind of thing works. Nobody who calls themselves professor doesn't have a PhD.
Has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't.
That's an interesting theory right there. I would like to see the evidence backing that. Apparently, the idea here is that the more melanin you have, the more of a soul you possess. Which is a very interesting theory. I mean, as someone who has a little bit of melanin, talking to someone who is white and apparently has none, how does it feel not to have a soul? You're the new ginger here.
I guess, yeah, all white people are gingers now. It's You know, it's one of those things where you know, if you're like 21 and you've never had drink before, and somebody says, "Well, you've never been drunk before. How do you deal with it?" It's like, I've never been drunk before, so I don't know what I'm missing. You know, my complete lack of being a melanated individual, as he calls it. I don't know what I'm missing out on, so I can't feel one way or the other. You know, I don't have melanin envy.
I think we can put this white privilege thing to bed now, because apparently, if you have melanin, you have a soul, and presumptively, having a soul is superior to not having a soul. Right? Presumptively, I mean, I would assume that's the case. So, black privilege confirmed. Boom. They've got the most soul right there. So what are we even talking about?
Glow.
I love how it goes with that. We call it soul brothers and sisters. Like, oh, is that the reason?
Yeah. It has to be. You know, it can't just be a linguistic colloquialism that sprung up out of pop culture or anything. No. This has to have deep literal roots. It has to be because of the physical, concrete presence of a soul within the melanated beings.
Yeah, I don't even understand how that works. Melanin possesses a soul. I mean, that it sounds completely bizarre. You might as well say that a high white blood cell count means you have more of a soul, or that's something. It's just, you just pick some random thing that you have and say, that's the soul. I've got more of that than other people. That must be the soul.
Yeah, we were talking about it before we started the show, and I haven't got to the whole part of where this idea that melanin is some type of a cosmic chemical that imbues people with magic powers and whatnot. But this goes. He mentioned Louis Farrakhan in the video, and Louis Farrakhan is the leader of Nation of Islam, which is not to be confused with Islam, like from the Middle East. Nation of Islam is an American construction that started mostly in prisons, if I remember my history correct. And it's kind of like a bastardization, it's a mishmash of various of actual Islam and Judeo-Christian beliefs and you know, like folk wisdom, and it's kind of a bizarre hybrid, a chimera of different mysticisms and whatnot. And they got their own mythology, their own gods, their own creation myth. And if you want a deeper dive into it, just type in Yakub into Google. That's Yakub, and prepare to have a good chuckle.
It's kind of like a black Scientology is what it reminds me of.
That is got to, that. Yeah, you just summed it up better than I did.
Yeah, it really is. Because I mean, Scientology fascinates me, right? And it's not because there's any truth behind it. It's because it's so utterly bizarre that it's fascinating that people actually believe it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it's just made up. It's all made up. Right? And it's not like, you know, religions that are like have thousands of years of history. No, it's all made up by a guy like 40 years ago. Right?
A science fiction author. It's like,
yeah. Like a guy who literally made money making shit up decided to turn his made up bullshit into religion, and people actually give him money to do it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that's even how it went. I thought he just like wrote a kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, when they had the monolith comes down and imbues the apes with the ability to start making fire and whatnot, and that was supposedly how humanity got started. It's like, I think that L. Ron Hubbard just wrote a book and it was really good, and people were like, wow, are you some kind of prophet? And he just saw money signs. It was like, yeah, this is all prophecy. It's all real.
But yes, I am a prophet.
Yep.
He just ran with it. Yep. Yeah, just start giving me money. That's what every prophet does. They immediately start asking for money. And then, yeah, like you were going over the story of their mythology about how a black scientist fled to Greece and through selective breeding created the white race, which he then enslaved, and then they revolted against him, and all this. I'm sure there's all kinds of historical records to back all that up. I am sure, just like there is about Xenu and the Thetans in Scientology, but it's probably all locked away inside a vault somewhere that only the high leaders of these religions have access to. But don't worry, it's all true. You just can't see the truth.
Or it's written on golden plates in a magic hat.
Yeah, or something like that. Some nonsense like that. All right, let's listen to it a little bit more.
Don't have it. Are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully.
Oh, thank you for saying all this carefully. I would hate to see what you speaking uncarefully would look like.
Are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they.
Hey, Hobbs, do you remember being sent to the mountains of Caucasus?
Yes, that's where I went through my rite of passage.
What is it like living up in the mountains of Caucasus? Because I'm gonna stop playing this now because it's just a whole bunch of nonsense. But he goes on to say that because of the lack of sun in the mountains of Caucasus, that white people did not absorb the power of the sun. They do not have it in them, and that is why you lack soul. And because you lack soul, you lack compassion, Hobbs. I just want to know what it was like living up in those, he calls them Nordic mountains too, the mountains of Caucasus, because everyone knows that the Caucasus are in the Scandinavian peninsula.
Yeah, it's just geography, right? That's just science.
Yeah, obviously. Caucasus, Nordic countries, same place. We all know this. If you don't know this, you're ignorant.
All right. Yeah, it was hard. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Oh my goodness!
But I made it.
No, that's good. That's good. So I'm just going to read you some of the stuff he said. He goes on, the sun started to deteriorate them. So they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of a low self-esteem. They're acting out of deficiency. So therefore, the only way they can act is evil. They have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and fight in order to survive. So these people who didn't have what we have, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people, they had to be savages. They had to be barbaric because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals. So they're the ones closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages. Whoa, boy. Whoa, I'm so glad.
Woo, lad.
This is what speaking carefully sounds like. Oh my Lord, the melanated people.
Yes.
I wonder, back in like colonial times, like in apartheid states, they would determine how white you were and then base your class based on that, right? Like someone who would come to a Spanish colony from Spain, they're fully white, they would be at the highest rungs of society, and then as you start introducing African blood into your bloodline, then you start moving down the hierarchy in society, right? That's how Spanish colonialism worked. So I wonder how much melanin this guy thinks you need to have in order to be considered a soul brother or sister.
A besouled one.
Like, are there tiers? Right? Like if you're half white, half black, do you have half a soul? Is that how it works? Like what I want to know what the tier system here is.
Right. You know, it's ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing the big questions being asked right now. That's why you come to Roads to Liberty and the Token and Hobbs Show, where we answer the big questions that are plaguing mankind.
How black is black enough? Those are the kind of questions that we seek to answer. Quote me, Guardian.
That's right. Quote me, Guardian. Oh, I don't know. You know, this whole thing. After reading the little blurb on Yaqub and the Nation of Islam, and I'm going to dig deeper into that because I'm kind of fascinated now by it. But after reading that, it really just seems like whoever is the most charismatic person rises to the top, like Louis Farrakhan. I don't know if you've ever heard one of his speeches, but the guy, he's a really good speaker. He's got a lot of passion and fire behind him. So, you know, these guys rise to the top, and then whatever they say, just make it up on the spot. Yeah, yep, I'm a prophet. You know,
and it just kind of works. Like it's pretty hilarious because this guy doesn't go after white people in this podcast, right? Because white people are fair game for anything. Apparently, you can literally call them savages, and it's like, well, but are they? Maybe. And some cucky white person's gonna be like, yeah, damn right, I'm a savage. I'm an animal. You know, they know there's gonna be some cucky white people in a university somewhere going, yeah, the mountains of Caucasus. I remember those. Those goddamn mountains of Caucasus. There's gonna be those people out there that are going to be agreeing with this. But he doesn't just go after white people. He goes after Jews, too. Because Jews, see, they're not really Jews.
Right.
See, Semitic people are actually black Africans. So all these white people going around pretending to be Jews, fuck those people for stealing our Jewishness. We're the real Jews. Not all these white people going around pretending to be Jews. By the way, there's a lot of people out there who would take issue with calling Jewish people white, namely white supremacists who have a hard-on for hating Jews for whatever reason. Because everyone apparently hates Jews. The Jews can't catch a goddamn break. Everyone wants to hate them for some reason. Like even this dude. This dude has no reason at all to hate the Jews, right? Did the Jews ever go to Africa and enslave the Africans? I don't think so. But here he is talking shit about Jewish people.
Right.
What the fuck? Why? What did they ever do to you?
Obviously, it's because they have usurped the title of Jew. So, okay, so going back to just this weird making shit up as we go, there's the Nation of Islam, and then we also have the Black Hebrew Israelites that say that they are the true Jews, and then we've got the other faction of this black liberation theology or whatever that claims that the Egyptians were black. So now we're going to throw Egyptians, Jews, and Muslims. If you get one of each of these people to meet, how does this exactly work? Who enslaved who, and who wants to kill who? Because Muslims hate Jews, but the Nation of Islam is black, and Jews are supposedly black. And then you've got the slavery history from Egypt enslaving the Jews, who apparently the Egyptians were black, and the Jews are supposed to be black. So I'm confused now. It has to be my lack of enlightenment due to my lack of melanin. So I'm just gonna.
It's the fact that you don't have a soul is what's causing the confusion in you right now.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Cannot comprehend.
No, it's all very incomprehensible.
Yes, these are the great cosmic questions.
You know how nations always have founding myths, right? You think back to Rome, and their founding myth was Wolf found a couple orphan babies and nursed them to health, and that's how Rome founded. I think what the Black Hebrew Israelite idea is that like the founding myth of Ethiopia is that an Ethiopian emperor married the daughter of King Solomon, and that's their founding myth, right?
Okay.
So from that founding myth, I think is where the Black Hebrew Israelites get the idea that they're the actual Jews, right? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Because that's the only historical reference I can come up with that would make that story make even a little bit of sense, right? And that's probably not true, but that's what the story is. But even if it were true, that doesn't mean that the actual Jews aren't Jews, right?
Right. When this daughter of Solomon married this Ethiopian guy, did that mean that every Jew in Israel suddenly turned black?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. They were imbued with the power of melanin.
They came. See what happened was when Moses was leading them around in the desert. It wasn't a desert. It was in the mountains of Caucasus, and he let them down out of the mountains of Caucasus, and they absorbed the rays of the sun, becoming black in the process. This is history, my friends. We are historians here on the Token and Hobbs Show.
Yes, you have cracked the code.
Obviously. So that is all some very fun stuff. And it's pretty amazing that this Nick Cannon, you know for a fact this guy is not going to face any repercussions for anything that he said.
Nope.
Right? Because as much as leftists like to pretend that they are on the side of the downtrodden and oppressed, Jewish people always seem to get the short end of the stick when it comes to this, right? The Jewish people always seem to be left out in the cold for leftists, and this isn't the only example, because this guy, he's not going to lose anything. He's not going to be held account for anything that he said. But it's not just this, right? Like we talked about this a few weeks ago. Bill de Blasio is specifically targeting Jewish communities over their lack of compliance with his lockdown orders, while at the same time encouraging people to march out in the streets in the thousands, spreading COVID as they go, right? But those Jews, you can't have them playing on playgrounds, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's a very odd thing that's going on here, where Jewish people, they don't seem to get any of the sympathy from the left that you would expect. It's a very odd thing.
It is.
It is. So okay, let's move on to our next topic. I wanted to talk about this that caused so much butthurt in the libertarian community, and I still can't, for the life of me, can't understand why. It was a tweet by presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, Jo Jorgensen. She goes, "It's not enough." Actually, I got a freaking. Yeah, it's not enough simply to not be racist. We must be actively anti-racist. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag Vote Gold. And she followed that up with hashtag Black Lives Matter means standing in solidarity with the mourning Black community as we fight together to end qualified immunity, police brutality, sentencing disparities, and the war on drugs. Not to support any organization by that name. And I thought that was a perfectly reasonable tweet. I thought perfectly fine with that. I have no problem with her saying Black Lives Matter. I have no objection to her clarifying this and saying we stand by saying Black Lives Matter. What we mean is we support these specific policy changes. We support ending qualified immunity, ending the war on drug, ending sentencing disparities, and all these are things that happen, right? And ending them should be something libertarians are all in favor for. But oh my God, did this cause an uproar in the Twitter sphere and the Facebook sphere as libertarians all over the place, well, supposedly libertarians, came to the conclusion that Jo Jorgensen is a Marxist. like an actual die-in-the-wool Marxist for saying Black Lives Matter. And it doesn't matter that she clarified that she doesn't mean she supports an organization, which Black Lives Matter is an organization, right? And she clarified that she doesn't mean support for the organization Black Lives Matter by that tweet. But that apparently is not good enough. Apparently saying, hey, this is what I mean by that, that's not good enough. Everyone has decided, hey, no, what you actually meant was this, and I'm very angry about it. You support the organization even though you say you don't? How dare you? I'm going to go vote for Trump or Biden instead. How dare you, Joe?
Yeah, it's yeah. I normally don't pay too much attention to these little drama spats and this. I just kind of roll my eyes at people making hay out of these little semantic games, like, oh, you said Black Lives Matter. Does that mean Black Lives Matter the sentiment or Black Lives Matter the organization? Well, obviously, if you're running as a libertarian, you're not a fucking Marxist. So obviously she means Black Lives Matter the sentiment, not Black Lives Matter the organization. And just you can be down with the sentiment and want to throw the organization out of a helicopter and be A-okay in my book. That's perfectly reasonable for me. And people are starting to nitpick these little semantic games, and it's like, stop being a crab in a bucket. I don't know if you know that parable. It's, if you put crabs in a bucket and one starts to climb out, the other ones will yank him back down into the bucket. That seems to be, the libertarian circular firing squad. Libertarians are libertarians' worst enemies. We get enough flack from the other two major parties. We don't need to be committing suicide.
It's really a funny thing when you look at it, because when people look at a third party candidate, it's not just libertarians, it's any third party. They look at them with a microscope. Like, you do anything that they don't like, or God forbid you do something that they see as pandering, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's it. Not voting for you. I'm voting for Trump. And then Trump can do anything he wants, and it doesn't. Like the same thing happened last cycle. Remember Johnson's Aleppo moment, which wasn't the best moment for him. Was not the best moment for him. Easily admitted. But seriously, in a race with Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Gary Johnson, if you're going to nitpick the Aleppo moment, it's like, oh, well, that's disqualifying. Like, you can't vote for any of them then. Like, Trump has a gaffe a week, right? But we're just so used to it at this point. It's easy to forget. The man says stupid things every time he opens his stupid mouth.
Yep, and Biden is so bad about it that they're keeping him away from cameras as much as they can in the lead up to the election. It's it's that mystery box president. What does he stand for? I don't know. Elect him to find out. And I think the best analogy for this, libertarians tearing down the Libertarian Party presidential candidate is something that's like, you've been eating raw sewage for the past week, and then somebody finally hands you a sandwich, and you look at it and you say, oh, this sandwich has romaine lettuce instead of iceberg, so I guess it's back to eating sewage.
That's exactly what it is. Like, pickles. Throw the whole thing away. I don't like pickles.
I ordered Dijon, and this is clearly classic yellow. Take this bullshit back and bring me my bucket of sewage.
So that's what leads me to conclude that a lot of this anger isn't from libertarians who actually intended to vote for Joe Jorgensen.
Bingo.
Like, that's not what this is. What a lot of this is just Republicans thinking, oh man, it's cool to be a libertarian, and then they get among libertarians and they find out that they're shitbags and they're angry about it. So then they go crying off to Trump again.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Just, wanting to legalize cocaine. Oh, legalize cocaine. I thought you guys just like guns.
Yep.
No, that's not all we like.
If you don't want to do cocaine, then don't do cocaine.
Yeah, seriously.
Nobody's going to force you.
No.
I don't know. I think it's just stupid. The thing that I've noticed about libertarians, from kind of like taking a step back and not being as active in the chat rooms, the comment sections, and everything, is that libertarians, they live in the world of theoreticals, because libertarians have never had power in this country. We've never got to see our policies actually put into practice on a large scale. So it's just, like an ANCAP versus a minarchist, and they're like, oh, if you completely abolish the state, then warlords will take over. And it's like, we don't know any of this shit for real. And there's going to be 330 million people living in the sphere of this. Anything could happen. So, they live in the world of theoreticals and what ifs and hypotheses, and they just like bounce the worst case and the best case scenarios off of each other, and it turns into a circular firing squad.
Yeah, and no one is ever libertarian enough, is the funniest thing about it. I mean, we found this out when that Guardian article dropped. What did a lot of left libertarians immediately do? They took the Guardian and then swallowed it whole, is what they did. So a lot of it's funny. A lot of libertarians are so starved for mainstream approval that they'll throw their own under the bus to get it. And not only that, they'll just believe whatever these mainstream media types say, right? Like, a lot of these guys who are like, oh, how dare she go on this podcast? They don't listen to our podcast. Never once listened to our podcast. And then we're like, oh, what's racist about it? Oh, let me go through your feed and find something I don't like. Oh, you call people who believe in white privilege white cucks. Ah, that's racist. Ignoring, of course, that I'm the one that made that post. Like, oh, so you don't think that you have privileges that I don't? Oh, I'm such a racist for that. How terrible of me. But the libertarians like to do that. No one's ever libertarian enough for them. And if you have a slight disagreement, like this Black Lives Matter thing, it's such a stupid thing to get mad over. But it's the sort of thing that libertarians like to get mad over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're so goddamn petty sometimes. It's absolutely amazing.
Yep, it is. It's amazing. It's sad.
This is why we can't have nice things.
And it's why we can't have nice things. It's why we can't win elections.
You want to know what else is sad and stupid?
Please tell me more.
Check this out. Look at this hate crime that you're looking at on your screen right now. If you guys are listening, you can't see it. That is a rainbow crosswalk with tire treads on it. This is what they were calling a hate crime over in Vancouver. I want to read you a little bit of the article because it's absolutely hilarious. And there's a happy sequel to this article too, so just keep that in mind. The article goes: a pride crosswalk in West Vancouver was defaced with tire marks Tuesday, a week after being unveiled. Around 4 p.m. Tuesday, staff inside the West Vancouver police station heard a loud and sustained squealing sound. West Vancouver police has obtained a video of a black car that is suspected of leaving the tire marks across a portion of the Pride crosswalk at the intersection of 16th and Esquimalt. The car sped off and was not located, but the department is now investigating. This is very upsetting, Kevin Goodmurphy says in a release. For whatever reason, this person had chosen to leave a gesture of hate on a crosswalk that stands for the exact opposite. I would just like to say, my man, it's a road.
Yes.
You put a crosswalk on a street, all right? That means cars are going to drive on it. And when cars drive on things, they leave marks. Now look at this picture, right? That is not someone who stayed on a crosswalk doing donuts on top of it. That's just someone who took a curve a little too fast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And yet, they decided that this warranted an investigation for a hate crime. A hate crime. Tire marks on a road. This is the kind of thing that needs to be investigated for a hate crime. What? Even say it was done on purpose. So what? Who is hurt by this? Exactly. Like, oh, the rainbow crosswalk has tire marks on it. Oh no, gay people are suddenly just all gonna die because of that, or they're all gonna be hurt in some vague, undefined way. Like, no one's hurt by this. It's tire tracks on a crosswalk. Why should anybody care? Apparently, the police department saw it as their duty to care about such things.
Right, like every gay in Toronto was suddenly like, oh, something happened. I felt a great disturbance in the gay force. Somebody did a power stance on the crosswalk.
So, see, here's the funny thing. They had the video from the very beginning. And I'm going to share it with you guys because that's what I do. So they had the video from the very beginning of this. And I'm going to show it to you. And you're going to see it. And you're going to think, they thought that was a hate crime? So in the video, you can see the car kind of in the middle of the screen there in the background. And it's on top of the crosswalk right now, stopped at a stop sign. So let's see what happens next. He's pulled up, he stopped, and he takes the curve kind of quick and drives off. Right. That's it.
So let's say he did it on purpose. Hate crime? If he did it with malicious intent, then it was, I wouldn't call it a crime. You know, it was just an asshole being an asshole. And, you know, it's things like this that I also say about racism. And it's like things like homophobia and racism and stuff like that without any real impact against a person is just a shitty person's shitty opinion. No one was hurt by this. Now, I'm going to posit a different hypothesis on this one, okay? This is a section of road that has been thoroughly painted. Keep that in mind. The car looks like a Mustang. Not all, but most Mustangs have a little bit of horsepower under the hood. What is to say that the paint on the road reduced the friction coefficient of the road combined with the car's power caused it to spin the tires a little bit? Just a theory. That sort of shit happens.
Are you presenting a completely reasonable theory as to why this guy may have left marks on a road?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, guy driving his Mustang like he normally would, puts the gas to it, but because the paint was on the road wasn't as grippy, and it caused his tires to spin. That's what I think happened.
It's funny that there's even a need to present an explanation for tire tracks on a road. Because I have to imagine that cars leave marks on crosswalks all the goddamn time. In all places. And no one gives a shit about it. Because they're crosswalks. Who would give a shit about it? But because this crosswalk is painted rainbow colors, then we have to care, and then we have to investigate it for a hate crime. But that's not all. This story got followed up. Rainbow crosswalk burnout, not a hate crime, West Vancouver police say. West Vancouver police say that the person at the wheel of the Mustang who did a burnout on a brand new rainbow crosswalk will face motor vehicle act charges, but not criminal charges. Basically means he's going to be charged for taking that turn too quickly. But that's it. He's gonna get a ticket. which is kind of stupid in and of itself. I mean, you take a turn too quick. Oh no. But not a hate crime. Not a hate crime. And they had this video from the very beginning, and they still felt the need to investigate it for hate, even though they could see from the very beginning nothing hateful about it. It goes on. The suspect, who was under the age of 18, later turned himself in, West Vancouver police said. It's our belief now, having interviewed this young person, that a mistake was made. We have no evidence to suggest a hate crime took place, that any hateful behavior towards a specific group, LGBTQ2S+, or otherwise, that's a new one, took place when the vehicle was driven in this manner. The person was issued a violation ticket as opposed to a criminal charge. West Vancouverites have been supportive of the crosswalk since it was installed, blah, 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 blah.
So adding to my theory of freshly painted road, powerful car, inexperienced driver under the age of 18. By Jove, Watson, I think I've cracked the case. For fuck's sake.
I know, and then it's kind of funny because they were putting out the call for people who recognize the car. Like, they put pictures out on the internet and be like, be on the lookout for this black Mustang. Like, why? He marked a crosswalk. It's very important that we find this man and bring him to justice.
Because
they have better things to do.
Not in Canada.
Apparently not. Aren't there riots and stuff going on?
Unimportant.
Unimportant. What's really important is this.
The more detectives that Justin Trudeau can have following stupid little shit like this, that's fewer detectives they have figuring out whether or not Fidel Castro was his real dad.
You know what? That's a conspiracy theory I can get behind. I mean, it's kind of funny. Did you see them put up that Black Lives mural in front of the Trump building in New York?
Ooh, sick burn, de Blasio.
Yeah. Well, they got him.
Got him, yeah.
Trump is finished.
Yep. Racism destroyed.
I wish we could see his face. Like, what do you think you're accomplishing exactly? You're just trolling a troll. And take it from me, trolling trolls isn't the best strategy to do. Yeah. Trolls don't care. Yeah. They know all the tactics, and they're probably better at it than you are.
Yeah. De Blasio is not smart enough to Trump as far as IRL trolling goes, because something is going to happen, and it's going to be hilarious. Babylon B said that a mysterious vandal painted over black with orange lives matter. Who is it? I don't know.
But someone actually did vandalize the mural. They pour like paint all over it or something. They also, you stop Black Lives Matter with your paint.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta love the counter virtue signaling war that they've got going on here. I'm gonna paint Black Lives Matter to get Trump, or I'm gonna pour paint on it to get you. And everyone just gets stupider in the process.
Yep. Public vandalization is so hot right now.
I know, right? And just doing this out in a public street. Like, aren't streets for roads? Aren't streets for cars or something? Why are you in the road? Just get out of the way. There's probably people who have places to go, and you're just in the way painting the street.
Well, we're libertarians, so we hate roads.
We do hate roads, except for the road to liberty.
Correct.
That is the only road we allowed. All right, you want to talk a little bit about this Ghislaine Maxwell story that's going on?
Right. So she has been denied bail. Good. Her first trial date, though, is set for July 12th of 2021. So she's going to be just kind of chilling in a jail cell for a year with nothing to do but contemplate interesting ways to commit suicide and set the internet alight with conspiracy theories.
Oh,
just kidding, Ghislaine. Don't do it. We need you to spill the beans on everyone.
She's not going to make it. You know she's not going to.
Definitely not. If I was her, I would have confidants with dossiers full of all of the sick shit, ready to drop it as soon as her pulse flatlines. Now, I don't know if you remember it or not, but last year, after Epstein got arrested, and I think like right before he got killed, Ghislaine Maxwell put out a very suspicious photo on social media. Where I don't think she put it out. I think somebody else leaked it. But it was a picture of her sitting at a table reading a book called, I think it's like the Life and Death of Spies or something like that. It's a book about CIA operatives and stuff. And behind her, it was kind of a very distinct building, and you could see the building back there and be like, that's where I know where she is. She's in, I don't know, like San Francisco or whatever, at this cafe on this street. It was easy enough to figure out. But it had been very poorly photoshopped. The ads on the bus stop and the ads on the billboards behind her and everything had been not badly photoshopped that you could tell just by looking at it, but by analyzing the image's metadata, you could see that certain images were put on the billboards and the bus stop and the park bench and everything as advertisements that were from different time periods from that picture, almost as if somebody had taken a photo of that spot several times over the course of several weeks and then mixed it and matched it, and it made no sense. But what everybody was focusing on was the fact that it was Maxwell out in the open reading a book about spies, and they're like, this is a message. Come get me, and you're all fucked. And now here we are a year later. She's been arrested. Don't know where she is. Haven't seen a mugshot. Apparently been denied bail. Has a cache of very, very important documents with information on very, very important people. We will have to see how long she makes it and what comes of this. I, for one, do not have a whole lot of hope for her.
No, as you shouldn't. There's no reason to have any hope that she'll actually spill the beans on people. That's the thing about it. Everyone's hoping, she's going to take down some of the rich and powerful. Like, it's the very fact that she's going to take down the rich and powerful that's going to, lead to her death. Because these people aren't going to go down. They're never going to go down. They're going to do whatever they have to do to keep in power and keep their good names, right? So there's not much hope for. And there's not much hope for that the prison system's going to keep her safe either. I mean, we all remember what happened to Epstein, right? We all remember that. We did like 5 episodes on that whole ordeal. But I mean,
Epstein didn't kill himself. Memes are still out there.
They're still out there. But I mean, the justice system couldn't even keep Epstein from raping his victims while he was in jail. They'd actually let him out of jail to go home to his home office to do work where he would rape underage girls while he was supposed to be in jail. Right? That's the kind of criminal justice system we're running in this country, where the rich and powerful get to continue doing the things that landed them in jail while they're supposed to be in jail. Right? That's the kind of criminal justice system that exists in this country, and that's the kind of criminal justice. That's the kind of criminal justice system that's going to end up leading to this woman's death. And you know what? It's not like she doesn't deserve to die, right? It's not like this woman doesn't deserve everything coming to her. But I would like her to not be the only one taken out with this, right? Same with Epstein. It's not like Epstein didn't deserve to die. Right? That's not what the Epstein didn't kill himself memes are about. It's not like, he was an innocent man who was killed by the system. No. It's not what happened. No, he was a guilty man who was going to reveal the names of other guilty people, and those people made sure that he couldn't spill the beans.
Yep, that is exactly how it is. He would have like Epstein, if he would have not been killed off so quickly, I think that if you were a person who liked to play the stock market, I would find out who makes wood chippers and invest. In fact, you might want to get on the ground floor on that right now. Get some wood chippers. Yeah, if Maxwell sticks around long enough to spill the beans on some important people, wood chipper go brrrr.
Yes. That would be a real thing, wouldn't it? The only problem with wood chippers is, depending on the size, they're kind of hard to lug around, right? You could probably go get these people and bring them to the wood chipper easier than bringing the wood chipper to them. But that's all for the future. That's all for when this woman eventually spilled beans, if that ever happens. Right, and if it ever happens, who knows how people are going to react? Like, oh, this person that she revealed, they can't have done anything that she claims they did, and then nothing ever comes of it. Right? It becomes one of those conspiracy theories that everyone knows isn't actually just a conspiracy theory.
Yep. The thing that I find
one of those things, man, and that's probably how this is going to happen.
Yeah. The thing that I find really interesting about the Maxwell thing is, like, a day after she got arrested, it was when that Wayfair child trafficking thing dropped. So I think that that was like kind of
that's an odd story.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a distraction piece. The more that I look at it. Now, obviously, I've been hearing a lot of stories. People are like, they're shipping kids in cabinets. I'm like, no, you dumb son of a bitch. You don't order a cabinet and then get the cabinet show up to your door and open it up and there's a child prostitute inside. No, the website was set up to make it seem like you're buying a $15,000 cabinet, and then you would, I don't know, probably get like a secret note mailed to like come to these coordinates and pick up your child whore or whatever it was. You know, it's like they're not gonna take the risk of putting a kid in a box and shipping it UPS. You know, on the off chance that the kid goes, boom, 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 boom. Hey, let me out! It sucks in here. I have to pee. You know, it's like. No shit, they're not shipping kids in boxes.
I will say some of the Wayfair memes I've seen are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I saw one yesterday. There was a guy in a cabinet with an AK. It's like me waiting to get to the pedo party to pop out and kill whatever celebrity ordered this cabinet on Wayfair.
Do you remember that selfie taken at the Oscars a few years back with all those with all those celebrities? Is like what the kids say when the cabinets open up. Well, the funniest thing about that one is Kevin Spacey's in the background. It's like or like this other one where this guy and a kid playing video games is like. After when you open up your Wayfair package, now they're helping you finish your video games. It's like, oh, you want to play, little dude? All right, let's play.
So I saw another one today. There was a guy teaching it was a guy like showing a little kid how to shoot an air rifle, and it said, "Me showing my new son that I found in a Wayfair cabinet how to negotiate with the IRS." Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So at the very least, we got some good memes out of it, which is what we're all about. We're all about the memes. All right. You got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Let's see. So this Friday, Observations, I'll be talking with the admin from Crazy Ivan's Boogie Boys. He wanted to talk about the Purge. Yeah, he wanted to talk.
You can't say the words.
I will do what I please when I please. He wanted to talk about the Purge and how everybody's regrouping and staying in contact. And I saw Independence memes left a comment for us down here. Independence Memes was formerly Mujahideen Memes, which was one of my favorite meme pages. So if you're still, yeah, there. If you're still listening right now, dude, shoot. I shot your page a message today, and I haven't received anything back. You can jump in with the Crazy Ivan guys on Friday, too, if you want to talk to Purge. Love to have you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We'll wrap it up with that. Remember, everybody, like our page, Roads to Liberty Podcast. If you can't find it, like the backup page and then follow the link to the main page, because apparently you can't search for us on Facebook because Facebook hates us. Right? And also, we share everything from our main page to our backup page. And if you like that page, you'll probably fun stuff that we got to deal with. Also, remember to go to the website, think-liberty.com. That's think-liberty.com. And subscribe to the Think Liberty podcast on your favorite podcasting app to get all our episodes. Right? You want to see all, you want to listen to Token and Hobbs, Observations, the interviews that we do, all that good stuff. Think Liberty is what you want to subscribe to. All right, everybody, have a good night. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening. We will see you next week on another episode of Token and Hobbs. Good night, everybody.